All right. Well, today we are going to look at kind of building out the first kind of full slice of CRM functionality. So, what this is going to do is when you run the importer and pull in emails, we're going to have that connected to the contact record. So when you go to the contact, you can see a list of all those emails. So let's talk through how this is going to work a little bit. Okay. So right now you get an email that comes in, and there's contacts. So those contacts, and those contacts have email addresses. And those contacts could have many of them, but each one of those emails is associated with a single contract. So what we want to do is when an email comes in, we're going to grab its from address, and we're going to use that to search for the email address, and from that we are either going to grab the contact, or if that doesn't exist, then we're going to want to create the email to contact. So if we do that, we can then store the contact ID onto the email record itself. The problem with this is if we then go to companies, we're going to have to explicitly say we have to do something. So what I'm picturing here is would then have contacts dot has many emails. So we go to company dot contacts and then go to the emails for them to see all the emails that have been sent to the company in aggregate. But with that, we're not able to really so where we're going to be heading with this is we're going to have emails, to-dos, deals, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're going to want to kind of be able to merge that into a single stream of information. And there's also some questions about so I think that's going to have some problems with it. So I think that will work better is if we do something where we have email, and we're going to have the similar type of thing where we have the contacts, when they would have their email address, and would still do the lookup with that. So we'd still kind of be looking for those contacts that have that email address. But instead of building a direct link between the two of them where we're doing that, I think that we're going to want an intermediary object. So this would be something called an activity. And I expect that these activities are also going to be generic, so they can be connected to multiple things. So you could have an activity connected to a contact or to a company. So it could be one of those, or so there's going to be multiple of these connections here. It also means that you would have your, a to-do would be connected to your activity, or a note. So all those things would be kind of hooked into those activities. So that means that you'll be able to go into your contacts and say, give me a list of activities. Now we want to have some type of a join record in between that's making this connection here. That way you can have multiple different ones. So the polymorphic has many. So that's kind of what we're looking to build out. All right, so let's get started on that. Okay, so off screen I did, there's a couple of tests that were failing, and they just had to be updated with a few minor things. So that is set up. So let's get back into our system and get building this. Okay, so what we really are looking to do is probably right here where email.save. We then want to yeah, there's a few ways that we can do this. For right now, for what we would probably want to be doing at some point is flagging this email as needing processing. But so we would do we create a job that run that in the background. For right now, what I'm going to do though is I'm going to just do it in line. So we want to have something in here where we can do. So we can have an email activity dot new. We're going to pass in the email here, and dot save. So this is going to be a plain Ruby object that lets us do this stuff properly. Okay, so let's create let's create that. So we're going to have our email activity .rb class email activity. And let's I don't know exactly how to build this out just yet, so I'm kind of figuring this out as we go. So in our models, we're going to have a email activity spec.id, and let's just pull over email activity. Okay, so this is going to be a pretty small, simple object. Okay, so let's go describe. So we're ultimately going to be building towards building a save method. Okay, so let me call save. Looking back at our diagram, so for this, when we save it, looking at our diagram, we want this to so what are we going to be creating from this? We are going to be, for each of the kind of major entities that we're connected to, so contacts or company, we are going to save an association, and we're going to be creating an activity. So we can say it returns an activity do. Okay, so here we're going to do email activity dot new. We're just going to throw a double in here for now. Dot save. So expect save dot to be a activity. And that's going to be letting up to me, hopefully, about that activity. Given 1, expected 0, right? Definitionalize email. All right, so it's now complaining of activity. So let's Rails G model activity. An activity itself, is not going to do anything. It's going to kind of be a record that just holds a few things for now. Good. Good. We'll leave that open. All right. So let's run that again. After we Rails DB migrate this. Okay, so that's complaining. So when we do save, we're just going to do activity dot create. Cool. All right. It has an association for a relevant email. All right, so we are going to so our contact is create contact, and contact email addresses create an email address. We'll use for this email is foo@example.com. All right, so if we do email activity new for double that has a from address, I'll just leave that for now. Double dot so we want the we want that to include contact. Oh. No, we do not have a Okay, so this is going to be contact. That's .rb. And oh, sorry, it's people. Bah. Right. That is going to buy me a bunch of time. So let's create a person with account. It doesn't have that trait. Nope. So let's make that trait. So people I've met an email address for person 1. Email addresses. All right. Email address is email. All right. Some of these things having very similar names is definitely going to bite me at some point. All right, so I want to call .save. Records does not, activity does not have records. No, it does not. So for that, we need to create that as well. So Rails G model. Do I want to call these records or activity records? Records is super generic. All right, we're going to make an activity record. And this is going to have a activity, which it references, and a record, which it references, and that is polymorphic. All right, that looks good. Let me just take a quick look at okay, and activity has many activity records. And of course, I wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't. All right. Expect activity records to have that, but does not have it. All right. So with this, what we are looking for, so right now this is going to be connecting it to, so we want something that's like, yeah, so what we want to do here is let's describe contact for email address. So for this, so it finds, a should be person, finds a person with a given email address. Okay, so emails foo, we create that person with account, we add that email address, and if we call that dot people for email address dot to include person, and this could be multiple people if you have info at or something like that, I suppose. Describe it to end. All right. Models email activity, right? DEFCON. So what I called this was people for email address. Okay, so we are going to be doing, so we are looking at a specific email, and when we look at our emails, these emails are connected to an account, email account ID, and so email account that they are associated with, and the email accounts are associated with a membership, and that membership is connected with an account. So that's how we know what account they're associated with. Okay, so what we want to be able to do in here is something where we go and count. So this is going to be really deeply nested. This is going to be kind of ugly. We don't do something like count dot emails dot where email is email dot from. That's what we really want to be having. Count dot emails, yeah. So we want to count on emails where that's from that email address, and map that, and we want to be grabbing, so now we've got the email address. So sorry, no, an email has come in. So we need the email addresses, not the emails. So count dot, so that'll be the email addresses where email is email dot from. So that's the email addresses, and when we get those email addresses, we want to map them and get the, so the email address, so it's already being a little bit ambiguous. This is going to let us connect to companies or contacts. So I might have to think about that. All right. All right, so complaining about account, of course. So the account is going to be the email dot, so let's follow this up. It's going to go emails dot email account dot dot membership dot account. which is kind of gross. Which is very, very kind of gross. All right, and now it's going to start complaining because we have that double going on. Let's do an add a reader. All right, for the sake of, let's just double and double and double this up. So this is now complaining about an email account. So yeah, let's stop this now. This is insanity. Okay. So what we actually want to do, let's change this. Instance double. We're going to make this an instance double. What instance double does that's different than normal double. It's a double just lets you throw random crap onto it. With instance double, I can say which class are you supposed to be? So this is going to actually be an email. So if we do this, it's still going to have the exact same problem before where it's receiving email account and yada yada. So let's change this. Now the account is going to be the email dot account. So now it's going to complain about a received unexpected message account. All right, so let's go to the double and now say this is going to respond to account with person dot account. So we're just going to jump all the way through that. All right, so now as instance double, the email class does not implement account. Nope, it doesn't. So we're going to do our email. So this account in here, that's going to be going to the email account.membership.account. And this, again, feels kind of dirty, so this might be some place where we want to put a, and this may be a place where we want to put in another thing where email account has an account, but for now this is fine. Okay. Email addresses for account, it does not exist. No, it does not. So if I go to account, it has many companies, many people. So one thing that I'm always torn with when we get to this type of situation is, do I want to put a account record onto there to help us with we do a little bit of digging around when we do these things, but I'm not sure right now, so we'll just leave that for another time. So we can go has many email addresses through people, and for future activity and companies. All right, now it's saying that our email had from with, which is what we're wanting, so that's all right. So in here, we're going to go from is email. And it's saying it got that. Perfect. So now I can hop back up here and I can run this again, and it's gonna yell at us. Good. So if I hop over to the email activity, I can equals activity.create. So in here, I think I can just do this. Let's see. This is activity records. And I need to copy that double up to here. Okay. So people for email addresses dot map. So for this, we want to make an activity record. Wow, we can just do this. Activity record dot new, and for this our record is going to be whatever we're passing in, and that's going to be then attached over there. And person activity records. All right, looks like we're close. What's going on here? Okay. So we in our test we're saying that we want it to be the person, but in here we said that it is a activity record. So what we're going to want to do in here, so activity records dot first dot record to the person. And why are we all right, there we go. Okay, so what this is doing now is yeah, I think that this is working then. So what this is doing is this is building a email to activity with the activity records, and then connecting that to the appropriate appropriate person. This is skipping out on the people, which we have to, or sorry, the companies, which I'm going to have to make work properly. And if I go into the email importer, email activity.new.email.save. Okay, so if I come to here and I go to my emails and I delete it, that way they rerun. And if I go to the people, Joe Blow, I'm going to add email, which is going to be johnbca@gmail.com. Okay. And if I Rails C, so if I go email importer dot new with email account dot first dot import. credentials. Actually, I want to do this anyways. Date dot today minus 15 days. Let's do that, and I'm just going to switch to talking head mode. And I'm going into my settings. I'm actually going to put in edit that, and my password. I wrote that down somewhere. I should have put in my password manager, but I didn't. Okay. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's switch back to code. Okay, so if I do rail C, I should have set my password correctly now. Let's see if this works. All right. So if I bring up my SQL browser, I've got two emails. They are, they're from John B. sent me. Goo. Okay. So if I go back to people, I'm going to add John Bennett. And that's John. And if I go to John Bennett and I add a email, I can put in johnbca@me.com. Great. And I'm going to delete those two. That way they will import again. All right. So I have two imported. And if I go to activities, I'm seeing multiple. Okay. And if I go to the activity records, that's where it's so these were so that's interesting. So what's happening right now is if there are no, it's going to always create. It's interesting. So it's always creating the activity regardless. So we actually probably want this to do something where it would ignore it unless it actually has some. Okay, but the important thing is if we now go to the activity records, then we can see that activity 3 and 4 are the two emails. And actually, so what should be interesting is if I go in here, I delete those activity records, and if I delete those activities, and if I delete the emails, and I go to Joe Blow, and I also add an email for him of johnbca@me.com, then when I run this, I should be creating two activities for the two emails and two activity records each. So we get the two emails. So this is emails number 7 and 8. And if I go to the activities, we see those are there. And we can see that activity 5 is associated with peoples 1 and 2, and 6 is associated with 1 and 2 as well. And what I'm just realizing is we actually don't have the relationships. This isn't connected to the email activities. So we'll have to build that in as kind of our next step. So, so going to the email import, not the email importer, the email activity. We have to get this connected to the email, and something like that. But that will be for next time. So what we did with the kind of the blunt work of kind of the right hand side of that diagram. What we did is we when an email comes in, we're able to use it to look up on the person information and connect to those records all to that activity. So that's going to be kind of going the activity is going to be the one side. So we need to build that relationship, but that's going to then go to the one to n type relationship. And that kind of takes care of that, and gives us the flexibility to right now just have an email to a person, but with a small code change, this will be allowing us to do email to company, email to person. We can then do to-dos to deals or anything like that. All right. Take care, and I'll see you next time.